Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Everyone, welcome to today's talk. The topic is topics discussed in 2020 and 2021, a review. So I thought that we should go over some of these list and sum up some of the points which we learned, salient points. Not every point we can share again because that will be a very, very long presentation. And at the end, I noted some discussion points and I shared the slides with everyone so that we can go over some of the issues and the question and queries which might be in our mind, and we can discuss them together. I've noted down all these references which were used in our presentations. There were some books outside as well, but I thought it is good to note down these references for anyone who is new to Islam or would like to see this presentation. For contact, I've noted down this WhatsApp number so people can get in touch with us. Reviewing so far. First, we started Zoom talks in December 2020. To be precise, I think it was end of November, but I made it December so that we have completed 12 months. Have continued Sunday meetings with few breaks. Generally, we more or less had a talk every Sunday, barring few. Total talks posted, which I checked, are around 48, plus question answer sessions. Some talks are in Urdu, mostly are in English. Some also have an Urdu version recorded. These talks are posted on YouTube. And for YouTube, Tolu Islam is also uploading some of these talks. Few question and answer sessions were not posted and there was nothing new discussed. Many questions were discussed in fair amount of detail and answers provided in the light of the Quran. The word of December 2021 is quite different from the word of December 2020. COVID-19 is still a pandemic and vaccinations of various types are being injected to general population in every country. Some countries have made it mandatory, while others are in a process to make it mandatory, i.e. the choice is taken away. Traveling is restricted across every country. The cause of COVID-19 is still not known. In fact, no one is talking about it anymore, i.e. how did it start and if there is a human hand behind its spread across the world or not. Numerous alternative theories are floating on the social media. Noted this point because I thought this is something to think about. And while we are going through the pandemic, how will the world change in 2022? It is anyone's guess. Probably people who are at the helm of affairs, they know it, but the general population like us, we don't know. But we get some clues from the Quran. Can we get some clues from the Quran? We covered some aspects under the rise and fall of nations. Now, over here, I'll just go over the topics which we covered. We covered need for education, training, and human self-development. How solar system is defined, that was under the science. Universe at service to mankind, again under science. Human equality, critical thinking, core critical skills. Surah Ikhlas, chapter 112, application to the human self. This was covered in fair amount of detail. Human self are nafs, malaika, the universal forces and their role in human life. Deen as a system, myth or reality. COVID-19 and the law of requital. Human self and critical thinking. Critical thinking 3, acquiring essential intellectual traits. Critical thinking 4, and we concluded this series. Out of the box thinking. Siraat Mustaqeem, the straight path. 6 stages of the creation of the universe. Education and training and outline. Parenting 2, scope of self-development. Women as equal partners of men. The human creation, its purpose. The purpose of human creation, part 2. Science and the end of times. Qiyamah. The concept of 7 heavens. Parenting 3, fine aspects from the Quran. Why Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the only model forever for mankind. permanent values and outline, permanent values 1 and introduction, permanent values 2, the human self, permanent values 3, the law of requital, rise and fall of nations, sexual energy and human self, death and life in the hereafter, the Quranic concept of Eimaan and its impact on human psyche, marriage, the Quranic perspective, functionality of belief, rationale for the system of Deen, the concept of Allah in relation to Deen, how science enhances Quranic understanding. Values make us valuable, part 1. Values make us valuable, part 2. There were 11 values or laws were covered. Concept of Shaitan and Iblis, creation, that is khalqiyat, a divine attribute, importance of life and death, razaqiyat, sustenance, a divine attribute, rahmat, a divine attribute, Naima, a divine attribute, psychology of idol worshipping, and finally fadl, a divine attribute. Now, outlook for 2022, I've just suggested some points here. We can always discuss it and add more or take out any if we like. First is divine attributes required to be discussed. Manifestation aspects need to be highlighted. We have discussed some divine attributes and there are many more, so we need to discuss them as well. Some permanent values need to be shared with their application at individual and collective level. Formation of bylaws, which permanent values need bylaws? I thought put it down as a point because this is a big subject in its own right and we might like to get some experience of it. Main human emotions and their manifestations in the world around us. The main Quranic models and their salient attributes mentioned in the Quran need to be shared. For example, Hazrat Nuh, Hazrat Ibrahim, Hazrat Yusuf, Hazrat Musa, Hazrat Isa, Hazrat Muhammad, and Islam on all of them. Finer details of the system of Rububiyyat as part of the system of Deen, transitional phases of the conversion of the capitalist system to the system of Deen, all departments to be analyzed in detail. And finally, exposition in English of the shorter chapters, surahs of the Quran based on Urdu Durus. Total chapters, I thought it could be 76 to 114, which is 39 chapters in all. So what we can do is that we can take each chapter and go through it and use the Urdu Durus as a background or to explain it further in English. Now, salient learning points. No human being has the right to subjugate another human being to obey him, i.e. obey laws made by human beings. The world created by the human intellect is unacceptable and the Quran has provided the procedure to counter this system. If we question the purpose of our existence as human beings and then look for guidance with a view to find answers to our questions, then the Quran helps us to benefit from its guidance. The point to remember here is that Allah knows the secrets of every human heart and mind. Since this is an evidence-based fact, hence guidance comes from His direction. Those who look for it, they get it. However, when we pass the message to others, it strengthens ourselves and helps in its development. And it is a must for the system of Deen. Quranic guidance commences when we acquire Iman through a process of desire, need, and benefit, which leads to the understanding of its value system. For example, as noted in 177th verse of Surah Baqarah. This initial process may take few years. Iman replaces all the idols within our consciousness, which get replaced through our cognitive process and death. And this leads us towards performing Saleh deeds as noted in 177. We can verify it by using the Quranic criteria referred to in a number of verses. The Quran emphasizes Iman and Saleh deeds repeatedly. This is the complete recipe for living this worldly life successfully, and this must lead to uniting with those who are already on this path. If there is no such group, then we need to create one ourselves. The self develops when it makes efforts in this direction. This point has been emphasized again and again throughout our 12 months, those presentations. So this will again come up in our future talks as well. Saleh deeds done together with those who are on this path have a far higher scale than doing those done at an individual level. Recognizing our inner dissonance using the Quranic value system is part of this process of self-development. The increase in our understanding helps to understand the need for the system of Deen. The conviction that mankind can never have a life free from fear and huzn without the Quran is part of the evidence that we have acquired the Eimaan of the Quran. Next is, from our talks, we have firmly established that in the human world, all the duties and responsibilities which Allah has noted in the Quran, all these are accomplished through human hands. If there are problems, as highlighted in the Quran, in the world faced by the majority of mankind, then this means that no Jamaat-e-Momineen exists. Due to their absence, these problems are meant to exist. So over here point, we emphasized as well that there is no point in complaining about it if we know factually, no Jamaat-e-Momineen, there will be more problems in the world. If we desire a problem-free world in which there exists no fear and huzn, then we need to use our choice in the direction of the Quran. If we do not do this, then humanity will continue to suffer at the hands of the system created by the human intellect out with the wahi of Allah. It is that simple. We need to make this choice after getting guidance from the Quran. All those verses in which the Quran has addressed Mu'mineen are to be viewed within the limits defined by it, and those commands which follow these verses are for the system of Deen. However, we need to understand these first at an individual level and then revisit these collectively. These verses form the fundamentals of the Quranic system of Deen. While the Quran has declared it to be easy to understand, treading on its path through our actions is stated to be an uphill task, as it goes against the default inclinations of our desires, i.e., to settle for quick, immediate benefits. Human beings want quick benefits, and Quran's path does not give us quick benefits. It is a long haul, and our path extends beyond our physical life. This is the reason that the Quran has repeatedly drawn our attention to the issues of yatim, miskin, injustice, slavery, concentration of wealth in few hands, diseases, wars, conflicts, chaos, tyranny let loose by pharaohs of the world who are supported by Haman and Qarun. And the list is very long. If we cannot witness it and still read the Quran, then our self will never ever develop, as it simply cannot acquire Iman in the first place. Our attention is drawn to this fact that our stay in this life is finite, which terminates with our physical death. By virtue of possessing a self, which is a function of divine energy, our life at consciousness level does not end with our physical death, though it appears to be so as our brain dies. The assurance of the hereafter can only be achieved through the recipe of Iman and Amal Saleh, that is to become Muttaqi. This is because it is at the self's level we desire for the life of the hereafter. Hence, it needs to be within the domain of the self. All this is explained in detail in the Quran. Working together for the system of Deen in itself takes us a step higher in this direction, where we become free from this fear. The Quran has linked the fear of death to our deeds. I quoted some verses here. Marriage, education of children, husband-wife relationship, and family life are of fundamental importance, and the Quran has provided guidance in this direction. This should be viewed seriously and to be followed concertedly. What we sow, so shall we reap should be kept in mind. Equality as human beings at a fundamental level is absolute. This needs repeated efforts, and the Quran will not make itself revealed on us as a system of Deen if we do not resolve this dissonance within us. Equality should be viewed at the level of the human self. We all possess the same self, i.e., the same I. The Quran has made it clear by stating emphatically, no change in the outer world occurs unless there is a change within the inner human psyche. A great deal was discussed in this regard in the talks given by Dr. Hamid Mia, and these need to be revisited. The Quran should be earnestly studied to acquire a very high level of understanding about the state of the human world and the state of human cognitive potentials. Questions like, have I got the best from my latent potentials, or there is more to it, should be in our mind all the time. What more is there waiting for me to understand, and which can elevate my eminence even ever higher? And finally, these are some of the salient points noted here as a reminder. Many more aspects have been covered in our talks. We need to draw the attention of our new members to these talks for their education, training, and self-development. The links to these talks will be provided in the notes to this video clip on YouTube. So what I will do is I will include the links to all these talks, the main talks, not to question answer session, in the notes section. Now, I've quoted here 3 verses which sum up some aspects of what we discussed. Innamal mu'minuna allazina idza zukira Allahu wajilat qulubuhum wa idza tuliyat alayhim ayatuhu zadatuhum imanan wa ala rabbihim yatawakkalun. Verily, mu'mineen are those who, when Allah is mentioned, feel a tremor in their hearts, and when they hear His signs, find their iman strengthened and put their trust in their Rabb. What I thought in this verse was that the Quran has very clearly shown us some of the signs, saying that if you follow this path, this is what should happen. That is, you become extremely conscientious, and the importance of our life comes before us. Second verse, the next one, Allazina yuqimuna as-salata wa mimma razaqnahum yunfiqun. So the second one, that is Surah Anfal's third verse, follows from the second one, that then we feel the need for the system of salat, and then we come to this conclusion that keep the risk open for the use of others. And this is from individual to the collective level. Ulaika humul mu'minuna haqqan. So in this process, then we will understand what is the significance of Jamaat al-Mu'mineen. Lahum darajatun inda rabbihim wa maghfiratun wa rizqun kareem. And from this, we get elevated. We achieve higher eminence. And as we achieve higher eminence, then we get protection as well as access to rizq al-kareem. What I've done is I have put down a summary of this, which I understand, and I'm sure there is far more to it than what I understood. Notice the order in which the process is needed from the dhikr of Allah, and the Quran is the dhikr of human beings. And then from the inner psychological change, which is creation of a strong yearning, to the change in the outer world is explained very succinctly. If we know the law of requital and accept its functioning, then this sequence will make things clear to us. That is, every cause has an effect. In order to achieve higher grade or rank, points to the attributes of maghfirat and rizq kareem. Notice the emphasis on the collective aspect of it. Coming together is part of this process of Iman to rizq kareem. And now I'll go over the discussion points, and these are which I thought we need to discuss, but there can be more than this, or we can omit any of these if we don't want to discuss it. Each member to provide some feedback on these talks and their contents, maybe using their memory, because whatever we discussed, it has become part of our memory. Some we can recall according to our need, and some we may not be able to recall, or we might forget it. So there is a need to at least bring out some salient points which we discussed during the year. Quote an example of application of any of the points learned. Has ourselves developed further during December 2020? For example, our outlook, ability to understand the Quran. So we should carry out some kind of an audit of our memory or of ourself, or any change which has occurred within us. That in December 2020, this was the level of our understanding, and now this is the level we have. What efforts are we making to expand the horizon of our consciousness, for example, educating own children, own spouse, neighbors across social media? Can I relate to other human beings who are victims of the system created by human intellect? Can I see the functioning of the law of requital in every sphere of human life across the world? Can I apply it in our daily relationship with others? Has it improved my potential to judge my own self and the selves of others? Can I identify 3 best Saleh deeds in the last 12 months? How did these affect myself? Did these help to understand some part of the Quran? share 2 points from our question and answer sessions which contributed positively to the development of the self, for example, still fresh in the memory and which remind me about an aspect of the Quran. I wrote down this point because this is the way I look at my own self as well and try to see that what made more impact than other points. And when I look back on question answer session, there were a number of points which made a very profound impact on myself. And I discussed with others as well, and they also have mentioned some of the points which made an impact on their selves. And finally, after attending these talks, if we read the Quran now, can we relate to the overall context of Deen in which these verses appear before us? So this is an important point because we have gone through numerous number of aspects of the Quran, and we went through many verses as well. So if I read the Quran now, does it make it more clear to me than when I read it in 2020? So these are the kind of incisive or some kind of questions which should come to our mind, and we should maybe discuss these in our discussion. And thanks for sharing this presentation. And now we go to comments and discussion session.